we're going to go to Nate's Devy Player of the Week. Nate, I know you got someone good for us. Chev, I've been playing around with some sound drops since you've
That's
been
beautiful.
away.
I love that.
So,
I love that.
Nate, what do you have for us this week on your Devy Player of the Week?
So I'm actually really scared to do my Devy Player of the Week. 2 weeks ago, I said Quentin Johnston. He ended up having 0 points in a game that had he had 0 catches in a game that had 80-something total points. So that was a curse. And then I said Dante Demas last week, and he ended up destroying his knee 2 or 3 days later. So I'm kind of scared to give you a Devy Player of the Week because it might be a death sentence for their career, or something
Sean
like that.
Clifford.
And don't say Kenneth Walker. So Matty.
Yeah, that's what I said. No, this week I'm going to go with a guy that you probably have already heard of, and for good reason. We've all been talking about Bijan Robinson as the running back 1 in Devy. But what if I told you he's not the running back 1 in Devy anymore? I am drinking the Kool-Aid that Kevin is throwing out there. I think Treyveon Henderson from Ohio State is the RB1 in Devy. And wow, he's just been so impressive. We've seen some impressive running backs their freshman year. Like we saw Tank, we saw Bijan, we saw some of these guys from last year's freshman class look really good in their freshman season. But this year, Treyveon Henderson is just showing everybody up. True freshman, came into the Ohio State program as the number 1 running back in the high school recruiting class, the 23 prospect overall in the nation, and all-time 488 best prospect. So that's just a number on there on 24/7 as well. But literally one of the best running back prospects to come out in the past couple of years out of high school. Didn't play his senior season because of COVID. The high school season got switched to the spring, and he had already enrolled into Ohio State. He was an early enroll, so he got to play in the spring practices last year. Looked great. People didn't expect him to make a big impact this year. He's a true freshman. Meon Williams is in front of him, who's a redshirt freshman. And they got Master Teague, who's maybe not the best prospect, but was a decent college running back for Ohio State. Well, Treyveon Henderson didn't care about any of that. His first game that he got touches, he had a big touchdown run, and since then he's been nothing but explosive. This is a guy that on the 24/7 evaluation report, so all they had seen of him was a junior year where he was a full-time running back for the first time, because freshman, sophomore year, he was a wide receiver at a cornerback, okay? So his junior year is the only time he had played running back full-time. And he had 2,424 yards and 45 touchdowns that year. Was the Virginia Player of the Year and was named to All-USA second-team offense. So coming out of high school, just off of that season, he was being scouted and compared to Christian McCaffrey. Insane speed, ability to change direction, incredible vision. They were already pegging him as a first-round draft pick, and he's been even better than that since he's been at campus. Through 5 games so far, he has 54 attempts for 510 yards. That's a 9.4 yard average. That is insane for a running back. He's got 7 touchdowns. And he's got 3 receptions for 87 yards as well. This guy, you heard me, he played wide receiver his freshman and sophomore year. He played running back his junior year. He's been compared to Christian McCaffrey because he's got that ability to break off the big plays, run the ball through the middle of the field, but also to take that receiving role for a team as well. He's a true workhorse. And he was a little injured coming into the Rutgers game this week, but, who cares? They gave him 8 attempts. He had 71 yards and a touchdown. Game before that, 8 attempts, 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then, of course, we saw his game against Tulsa, 24 attempts, 277 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3rd game of his college career. Playing for Ohio State. This guy is only going to go up. They're getting ready to go into conference play. Well, I guess Rutgers is technically conference play, but we don't really consider them part of the Big Ten. So I'm excited to see what he can do against the Big Ten.
Nebraska. Get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. They don't belong in there. I love Bijan Robinson. I really do. But if Treyveon Henderson can keep this up, it's more impressive to do it in the Big Ten than the Big 12. And with Ohio State's pedigree, if he keeps this up, he's definitely going to be a first round pick. He might even be like a top 15 pick. He might be one of those generational prospects we see come out of college. Obviously, it's a little high expectations we're setting after just 5 games of his college career, but he looks the part. And I definitely want to talk about him now because we're going to be talking about him a lot for the next 2.5 years as he gets ready to, continue his college career and go into the play on Sundays. So,
and some of his runs are just disrespectful. Like once he gets into the open field, he puts one move on the guy and then he's just going. Like, and it's crazy because he doesn't look like that fast of a guy because he's a stocky running back too. So I want to see him run with power as well. So I'm curious to see how rest of this year go and the next 2 years go. But he looks very, very promising. I'm very excited.
He really does.
Say, you've heard of him. Bob probably already hates him. You know how that goes.
Yeah, he does.
So that was
He stinks.
That was the Devy Player of the Week, courtesy of Nate Christian. And speaking of Devy, Kevin and I, who Nate mentioned in his Devy segment, we recorded an episode last night for the Patreon that's going to come out tomorrow.